We all have our quirks and foibles, but some people take things to extremes. If you have a fear of something weird and wacky, then you may suffer from one of the strangest phobias around. From fear of balloons to fear of chickens, these 10 phobias will make you thankful that you don't suffer from them. Welcome to Toporo. Toporo is where we count down the best and leave out the rest. In today's video, we'll be counting down the top 10 strangest phobias. Number 10. Eisoptrophobia. Kicking off our list, in the number 10 spot is something known as Eisoptrophobia. This is a phobia of seeing yourself in the mirror, or more specifically, seeing your own reflection at all. While it would be easy to make a self-deprecating joke about some of us being afraid to see our own reflection, people with this phobia have a genuine active fear of seeing their reflection. For some people, it does cause feelings of shame and/or embarrassment, but for other people it's more complicated and can cause anxiety, panic attacks, and even consistent depression that sometimes doesn't even respond to medicine. Like most phobias, this one can be treated through cognitive behavioral therapy, though it doesn't always work, unfortunately. Number 9. Numerophobia. We apologize for the numbered list if you're watching this video with numerophobia, as it is the fear of numbers. Of course, it's not a fear of numbers themselves. No one is looking over their shoulders afraid 7 will eat them next. Instead, it's the fear of anything dealing with numbers, like math or statistics. While a lot of us simply don't enjoy math, this fear of numbers can actually lead to some pretty problematic results. One study has shown that some doctors who suffer from numerophobia themselves may straight up ignore new statistics or studies because of their aversion to numbers-based data. Another more minor example could be a middle school kid who is so afraid of doing math that they end up neglecting their homework or even skipping math class. This is another phenomenon fixed by cognitive behavioral therapy, but like a lot of phobias, it may persist even after therapy. Number 8. Aerophobia. Next up on the list, we have the aptly named Aerophobia, the fear of fresh or moving air. This one is complicated because while one can simply be naturally afraid of the air for whatever reason, it's usually tied to something much more threatening: rabies. A study in 2008 found that both a fear of air and a fear of water are common symptoms of rabies, and that fanning air on a person with rabies can cause them to have an intense negative reaction and even muscle spasms. Rabies is an extremely scary condition, already working towards killing the person who has it by the time they're aware of it. Now add on top of that being afraid of the very thing that keeps you alive? Rough. Assuming you don't have rabies, you'll once again be looking at cognitive behavioral therapy to get over your phobia. However, there is effectively no treatment for rabies in humans, which is why if you even suspect that you may have been exposed to rabies, you should get your shots. Number 7. Alektorophobia. Do you absolutely relish a good chicken sandwich? Then you probably don't have electrophobia, the fear of chickens. Now, typically the chickens are alive, and the person with the fear is mostly worried about being pecked, clawed, or just generally attacked. However, some people with intense variations of this phobia do indeed feel the rush of anxiety they get around chickens in restaurants as well, with a mere chicken sandwich or set of chicken tenders kicking in the fear. While most phobias can arise for no reason, even from a lack of experience with the thing one is afraid of, this phobia often comes from bad experiences with chickens. There are many stories of people growing up on or just visiting farms and having run-ins with particularly violent chickens, giving them trust issues around the tiny dinosaurs for the rest of their life. Foul! Number 6. Globophobia. Next up in the number 6 spot, we have a fear of Oprah Winfrey herself is admitted to having: Globophobia, a fear of balloons. Well, kind of. Someone out there is probably afraid of the presence or appearance of balloon themselves, but people with globophobia are actually specifically afraid of the balloons being popped. This usually stems from being around them a lot as a child, or having someone pop them without you expecting it over and over again. In these people's defense, I don't think anyone particularly enjoys a loud, unexpected sound happening in their immediate vicinity. A fear of loud sounds is an entirely different phobia though, so maybe it's specifically being a balloon is part of the fear? Either way, don't invite those people to your birthday party. They'll appreciate it. Enjoying the video? Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Number 5. Phobophobia. Alright, we've made it halfway through the list, Bringing us to Phobophobia. Yes, it's exactly how it sounds, the fear of fear. This is a form of ever-present anxiety that stems from the person with a phobia being hyper-aware of other phobias and their own fears. They haven't even gotten into a position where they are actually afraid of something bad happening, they're simply afraid that they will soon find a reason to be afraid of something bad happening. Confusing, we know, but it's essentially pre-anxiety anxiety. This can be very crippling, as some people will eventually decide to deal with it by never trying anything new or doing anything they enjoy. Just imagine SpongeBob in that one episode. You know the one. Number 4. Emetophobia. Next up, we have emetophobia, a phobia that the writer of this video actually has. This is an intense psychological fear surrounding vomit. While some people are afraid of vomiting because of the social consequences, feeling weak and or embarrassed, others are more afraid of the act itself. Whether it be from a sickness or a wild night of partying, people with this phobia absolutely dread the build-up to puking, the feeling of nausea kicking in, so on and so forth. Thankfully though, the actual act of throwing up is almost always over very quickly, even if the cleanup process unfortunately isn't. Cameron Diaz actually has admitted to having this phobia as well. Number 3. Nomophobia. Let's kick off our top 3 with a relatively new phobia that a shockingly large amount of people already admit to having, nomophobia. Though it does kind of sound like someone who has a fear of biting things, it's actually a fear of being without your phone. Let's be honest, cell phones are a necessity these days. Some people can't even do their jobs without them. However, nomophobia is an intense and overwhelmingly negative response to ever going without a phone. People with this phobia wouldn't dare to be caught in the grocery store or bank without a phone on their side, or more likely, in their hands. While using a phone at all or even a lot isn't bad, having this much of a psychological dependency on your phone and typically social media can cause detrimental social and mental consequences. Number 2. Somniphobia. In the number 2 spot, we have somniphobia, a fear of going to sleep. This is another very complicated phobia, as it can stem from many causes, whether that be someone trying to avoid sleep paralysis, nightmares, or simply the feeling of lost time. Sleep is one of the most important processes the human body regularly goes through, and actively avoiding it can be detrimental to one's physical and mental health. Not to mention the mental toll it would take on a person being extremely sleepy, yet fighting as hard as possible not to succumb to their body's needs. Some people dealing with this phobia can actually end up going days, and in rare cases even weeks, without actually letting themselves fall asleep. Number 1. Athazagoraphobia. Glad we didn't forget this one. Last but not least, it's Athazagoraphobia, the fear of forgetting things or you yourself being forgotten. Some people have this fear for absolutely no reason, while others have it stem from a personal trauma. A common factor in this fear is experiencing amnesia, or having a family member experiencing amnesia or dementia. People become obsessed with the idea of forgetting their loved ones, or their loved ones forgetting them. It is indeed a scary topic, but people with this fear are almost constantly obsessing over the idea, even going as far as writing themselves and or other people notes to remind them of every little thing. Never forget though, that someone dealing with these issues only forgets because of the mental changes they're going through, not because they don't love you. And with that, our list is done. Do you yourself suffer from any phobias? Please let us know in the comments below and how you go about life dealing with them. We hope you enjoyed the video and ask you to leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching.